This is a podcast or something like that.
Hey, how's it going? I let the fashion guy back into the studio. It was my choice. And this is me embracing his newest dictate. He has conquered the higher-ups, and now this is what I'm wearing. So this is a hoodie I had. I mentioned this a couple episodes ago. He likes not spending money. He's like this. He's like against fast fashion. You know what I mean? He's a fashion justice warrior. And so he tells me I'm supposed to find my own clothes and then wear them in a way I've never worn them before. That's a direct quote. So I hate it. I mean, needless to say, I hate it. This is very uncomfortable. But I'm back. I'm doing this. I'm a content machine. I was live streaming last night on the main channel to celebrate 5 million views. Can we pull that up? Sure, we can pull it up. Let me get right on that. That would be this. Last night we had a live stream. I did the live stream. I'm a content machine. And I think I'm stealing that from someone. That quote, I'm a content machine, but probably they didn't come up with it, right? So that was a great stream. That was really fun. I had a great time. Ooh, it's going to surpass the 50K stream in views pretty soon. That's big. This is so cool that I interviewed like a great comedian. Really underrated aspect of the channel, that one live stream. Welcome to Verbal Journal episode 94. Can we get back to the solo view? We'll get to talking about the live stream. I just wanted to give a little taste. Episode 94 here. Just double checking, triple checking on that right now before we proceed. How are you doing? Thanks for coming back. Yep, it's episode 94, and I'm making $94 a month on Patreon. That's pretty great. I make a little more than that from YouTube ad revenue, and then I make like a bunch less than that from YouTube members, and I make a couple $100 a month from my content. It's pretty, it's very helpful. It allows me to work as a therapist a little bit less than I would have to otherwise, see a couple less clients a week, and give myself a little bit more free time, and that's nice. So welcome to the Verbal Journal podcast. We have a lot to talk about here today. You can't even see. You know what I mean? Like, I can barely see. I know I can see a little. I'm just saying I can barely see. Okay. No. I can't even get out of it. How did you tie this? He tied it. I was like, can I tie it at least? I'm a man. And he was like, okay, buddy. And then he tied it. I was like, oh, I see. Okay, I see. It's a double knot situation. All right, welcome back to the episode. I can't undo both of these. People are going to get turned on. Jesus Christ. I'm going to put them both buttoned just to kind of make up for it. Everyone calm down. Welcome to the podcast. How many times can I say welcome to the podcast? So we have a lot to talk about here today, and I have a new mouse pad. It's the same one I had before. It's just new. The other one was falling apart. They don't make them like they used to. Back in my day, we had mouse pads that were made out of... Like, that'll be a thing people say. In, 30 years, we'll be at... Back in my day, we had X type of mouse pads. Time-wise. That's wild. We really are gonna... that is gonna be... there's going to be a brief moment where that's funny, and then it's going to be just reality, like, because it's obviously happening gradually that older folks are aware of more and more modern technology. Well, there's always the same amount of time, I guess. It's just that I'm getting older, so I'm perceiving this. But there's always like whatever the average lifespan is, that amount of time separates technology, or a general amount in relation to that amount of time, since someone is 10 years old, 15 years old, or whenever they start, having, whenever your first memory is. Say your first memory is from when you're 16 years old, right? Is that a normal time for a first memory? So, then when you're 86 years old, you might be like, so let's say 70 years. You might be like, back in my day, we had, okay, so what if you were 70 right now, 2025, well, basically, let's say 2025, so it's 55 years, 45 years before the millennium. We're not going to have another math situation, right, Monica? Where if I go on too long, you will edit this down, right? So 45 years before, is that really the easiest way for me to figure out? Yeah, okay, so 55. Okay, so 1955 is 70 years ago. That's easy. In 1955, let's say they had color televisions or something. Hold on, 1955 invention. This is going to work. Microwave oven. Okay, first microwave oven, atomic clock. I don't really know what that is, First microwave oven. So right now, there's someone who's 70. Oh, wait, hold on. I forgot to do the, teenager thing. Because you're not forming memories from when you're born. And I was joking about the first memory being when you're 16 thing. My first memory is from when I'm 5 or 6 or something. And I remember being 5 or 6 and thinking, I can't wait to tell people about this on the pod. Okay, so let's say you're 15, well, that's fine. Right, no, we factor that into the number of years thing, right? Because I was saying they're 85 and then we're going 70 years earlier. So we're saying an 85-year-old today was 15 in 1955, right? Yeah. So in 1955, they were 15 and their house maybe got a microwave. This is just the intro to the pod. I wasn't planning on talking about this, but you have to let the gears turn with the, we do have a Grinds My Gears segment. That actually reminds me. I almost forgot. Whoa, that's crazy. Okay. Oh, I'm going to forget if I don't do it right after. I'm going to leave it right here so I remember to do it. Got to keep the gears started. So you're 15. You get maybe right now there's an 85-year-old is my point who could honestly say, I remember when I was 15 and we got our microwave. They were brand new technology. We got our microwaves in the house. We had a microwave. We didn't really know how to use it. We put the wrong. Maybe there's a funny anecdote. Like my mom put the aluminum foil. Was that invented? Hold on. Aluminum foil invention, 1911. Great. Well, that's just. Oh, 1960s, the aluminum Christmas tree debuted featuring foil-covered branches and decorations. Okay. But my point with all that being, in 2021, 25, there will be someone, that will be like, wait, no, that's not a good way to think about it because I don't know what's going to happen in 2055. So my point is, let's say in 2080, someone will be like, oh my God, back in my day, live streams were you could only experience them, you couldn't even smell them. You know what I mean? They'll be like, back in my day, live streams were only audio visual. And you couldn't even feel them, or something. I don't know. There would be something like that. My point being, it's going to be interesting to see what 85-year-olds are saying about the past. I'm finishing up the intro. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Jesus Christ. No, I have a lot more to do in the intro, actually. Should we just call this the next segment? Should we just say this is not the intro? How's everyone doing? Welcome to Verbal Journal Podcast, episode 94. I have a little bit to talk about from the previous episode. Just
again.
Yep. I hate when the audio plays. That is my worst nightmare, when the audio plays. So last episode was good. There were some interesting parts. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm continuing it. I now have the 5 going. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and me being 5. That's right. And that was not the only reason I was pulling it up. I told myself I was not allowed to plan to do it. It had to come organically, and that did organically come. A few things to talk about last episode. On last episode, I called the horizontal integration segment the wrong name. I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to show you that.
Get a conviction. I don't know. Horizontal integration desk.
I'm so sorry I said that. I've been very clear. It's not a desk. There's a desk section of the podcast. And there's a reason that horizontal integration is not part of the desks section, and which is that it's obviously a segment. It's not a desk. Something gets called a desk because it's like a certain type of segment where, you feel like you're, sorry, I've like, I think from having the thing like wrapped up, I got like cloth fibers in my mouth. Thanks a lot, fashion guy. Anyways, I'm sorry I called it a desk.
Let's integrate horizontally. Horizontal integration desk.
That is hard to even listen to. I'm so sorry about that. It's not a desk. Number 2, next thing. We had someone write into the podcast, which happens all the time, is not rare at all. And actually said that they were listening to previous episode, the Pod Travaganza episode, and I didn't even think to make the connection about how in episode 92 I was apologizing for episode 91 that called main section extravaganza, and I was responding to critics who said I misused the term extravaganza, and I was like, I've never even heard that term used. I forgot that I'd actually used it, So I had a whole Pod Travaganza episode. So actually, I do know what I'm talking about as far as extravaganzas. So thank you for me reminding myself of that through someone writing in. Okay. And so one thing I just wanted to add, I talk about how I read Reuters articles. A lot of the articles I get are Reuters articles because I feel like they're pretty accurate and relatively unbiased. And then I was mentioning how they do have some bias, and you sometimes, certainly can feel like they might have a bias. What I didn't sort of mention, I think is worth mentioning, is like, the reason I go with them is I spend a lot of my time absorbing information from people who agree with me largely and stuff. I like watching the Majority Report and stuff. But it is sometimes helpful to find something, not just the opposing opinion, because when people say that, sometimes they're like, I listen to all opinions. It's like, okay, well, you also have to be discerning about which are true and which are fallacious. So you don't want to take everything equally. If it's not equally valid and well argued and well evidenced and substantiated. But that being said, I think I like the fact that it's slightly right leaning in a sense. I feel like I'm seeing what other people are seeing and understanding what they're understanding, and then I'm also, maybe it's balancing out my own bias a little. But again, it's also like a well established news organization. That's the most important thing, is that they have credibility. Okay, and that's the follow-ups on the previous episode. I don't know if I introduced it as that, but that's what it was. It was following up on the previous episode. Now, we do have the marketing department. I have to briefly talk about the marketing department. But first, I should say I should do this grinds my gears segment. No? Tom in the marketing department saying no. Yeah, you do not get to make those calls, Tom. Bro thinks he's Donna. Bro, you're 12. Yeah, I can call you bro. I know how you talk. I listened to your own live stream, and Tom, our 12-year-old marketing department person is like starting his own podcast and live streaming thing. It's I thought you had a non-compete, frankly. The marketing department, I'll just talk about it now. Tom told me to talk about this. He was happy how let me pull it up. How I did some, I did what he wanted me to do. We posted a new episode, the members, for the members, and then this is 2 weeks ago. Sorry about that. I'm messing up your segment. Never mind. Last week, so post the episode for the members, and then did something crazy, which is posted the Patreon link with the locked post to the public. So I basically enticed people, which is a marketing term that Tom taught me. It's a term that Tom taught me. Enticing people is a term that Tom taught me. And a term that I don't know. There was a rhythm there. But Tom taught me this term to it's enticing people when you give them the content but don't actually give it to them. Basically, you say, here's some content that I made and you can have it if you give me $1. So it didn't work. No one did it. And I think the post got throttled. I think actually maybe it did work. I think I did get like 1 or 2 patrons in the last week actually. But I also think the post got throttled. 10 is a very small number of likes if you compare it to like this one. I think got throttled because I mentioned some serious terms. This, you can tell that's me. People love this one. So it's just like, I don't like getting throttled, and I'm sorry, Tom. It was a good idea to do it, but I got throttled. That's a term I'm trying to teach him. He's like, that's not what we call it. I'm like, I got throttled, bro. And he was like, please stop saying that, dude. We're bonding, I'm obviously making a lot of progress. I think last week showed that I'm making a lot of I got to talk about why I'm yeah, that's the other thing about the last episode, the live stream. Or the live stream, not the last episode. So on this live stream, you may have noticed I was doing the same thing last night where I was like hunched over the chair like this, as I was a few episodes ago. Right here. And this is a comfortable way to sit sometimes, but I'm also, as I've talked about in the previous episodes, I have not been allowed to sit. This was amazing. 2 episodes ago, I was allowed to sit, but that is rare for the podcast professionals here at the podcast studios to allow me to sit. I would say political reasons. They say it's just a policy here. I'm like, that is sort of a similar word. You know what I mean? And they're like, good alliteration. And I'm like, ow. I feel disregarded. But the point is, I'm not allowed to sit. But when I was doing the live stream last night, I felt like I couldn't really talk about that. So here's what I said.
Of thousands of views. And we all thank you. With a ton of viewers. So go check out Simply Snaps' is like to people or something.
Okay. Can I?
So I'm trying to minimize my sit.
Oh, okay, here we go.
It's lumpy.
Here's when I'm talking about the this position of being right here.
I have my whole setup here. First, I'll explain why I'm sitting weird. It's so it's sort of like if you know sciatica, where people talk about sciatica. It's kind of similar. I sort of have that / like what's called lumbar radiculopathy, which is
I'm showing you this to explain the intricacies of what it means to run a podcast when there's like this other channel. Everything I'm saying right now in the live stream is a complete lie. That is complete BS. I'm not allowed to use the chair. I'm making up this whole fiction about a back and pinched nerve and so on. I just want to show you this to understand so you understand how YouTubers lie to you. And I'm using this guy, which it is me, but I'm also using him and me as a case study to understand how YouTubers can lie to you. Obviously, I don't have a pinched nerve in my lower back that affects my foot and makes me feel like I have to sit less, which is helping me resolve the issue, and it's just taking a while. Obviously, I'm just what's really the case is I'm not allowed to use this chair in the studio, and we were filming the live stream last night in the same studio, obviously. So I was not allowed to sit. It transfers from one platform to the other. I'm making up this whole lumbar radiculopathy. I mean, it sounds radiculopatous, right? I mean, that's not even a real thing, lumbar radiculopathy. And I'm just like, this is all complete bullshit. I just want you to know that.
The real thing. And it's
not
like
a real
what's
thing.
called lumbar radiculopathy, which is a real thing. And it's not it's radiculopathy, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. And I'm scrambling right now. And you can see I'm scrambling. I'm clearly, look at the eyebrows. I'm clearly lying because of the way my eyebrows are pointed down. Look at this hand signal means this means I'm trying to think extra hard.
Just at the end of the day, sitting, not the best for your body, it turns out.
So I'm sure some people were convinced because I laid it on pretty thick. But imagine that idea that sitting is not good for your body. No, I am. I would love to be sitting, frankly, and I'm just not allowed to be for disciplinary reasons here at the studios. But I have something so exciting to tell you about. Okay, so the special thing. I don't want to do the Grind Make Gears segment, doesn't? I just want to talk about the special. Okay, fine. They're making me do the Grind Make Gears segment. It's not good. Okay, why does an older male boss always have a younger female assistant rather than an even older male assistant? That's the Grinds My Gears segment. I wish like older male bosses had like their assistant was like another old man. You know, it never is though. Right? It's always like a younger person, often a woman. And there's got to be some reason for that. People should look into that because you never see like an old guy boss with an old guy assistant, right? Am I wrong? I guess you could say like, well, you know, George W. Bush, you know, and then Dick Cheney is his assistant and he's another old guy, but he's not his assistant. You know what I mean? First of all, obviously, historically, the power went both ways. But beyond that, you know, like, I mean, assistant, like, you know, not like, yeah, not a vice president. Anyways, that's the Grinds My Gears segment. Wasn't that good? That's why we tried to get rid of that segment. It's never been great. That's not true. Okay. They tell me I need to stop saying negative things about the podcast. But I won't. So, very exciting new development in the podcast, very positive thing I'm excited to tell you about with the podcast, is that, so we have segments, obviously, and then we have the desks section, which is a collection of segments, which are desks, which is a specific type of segment. But and then we have the intro, which is usually a segment. Sometimes there's a part 1 and part 2. You know, on days like today, you know, there's like a follow-up to the previous episode that might be its own segment after the intro due to the length of the intro. Sometimes that might be a part of the intro. So intro could sort of be a section or a segment, and then obviously, you know, things like Grinds My Gears, that's obviously just a segment. Anyway, so the point is, today we have a new section, which is rare. It's very rare that we have new sections. So the new section is called the mid section because they are segments that are just a little mid. No, I'm just kidding, right? You don't know? Okay. But these are desk adjacent segments, things that may fall into the desk category, but closely, may almost fall into the desk category, but not really. Things that maybe in the past might have been a desk, but had just been kind of amorphous and floating since then. I think it's a good idea, right? I think it's a great idea because we're going to have this midsection now where we can talk about things, and we'll get into it right now. And there's a lot on the agenda midsection wise. But I think this is good, right? To do this, to let these segments carry on, but to kind of put them in a orchestration, right? This is a good idea, right? I think it's what he would have wanted, you know? Remember when he had a segment? God, what episode was that on? So, we're processing things here. Midsection, let's begin with the midsection, and we will get over to the first thing. Very interesting, cool football strategizing. There was a football game last week where a very cool play happened that ESPN does not have the video of here anymore. So what we'll do is, because, I could read it to you, but that really wasn't the point. I was definitely wanting to just show the clip. Here we go, and okay, hold on. And I love football, I gotta say, just the way it's laid out. I love how it looks. It's very aesthetically pleasing. It's a great game, and I love the strategy. Plays like this are a great example of the strategy.
That would have been called right against
So let's see.
him as well.
So it's Detroit Lions are up a couple touchdowns. It's the third quarter, a lot of game to play. And they're 20 yards from the end zone on first down.
Would have gone both sides too, unsportsmanlike.
Guarding more effectively if he didn't think there was a fumble. You know what I mean? Because if there's a fumble, you don't have to guard the receiver. So, anyways, that's amazing. And yeah, I read in the article that even the line was in on it. It was inspired by a play they saw another team do. The offense worked on the play at least 3 or 4 times during the week in practice, so they were really ready for that. They got a touchdown on it. That's amazing. And even the sideline, as I said, was in on the fun. Everyone yelled ball. Like the people on the sidelines were in on it, and they yelled. Look at them. They're so ready to yell. So they're yelling ball, or maybe not, actually. It says they were in on it, but they're not doing a lot. I don't know. I can't see. You know what I mean? I can't see. Next up in the midsection, people can change, or industries can change. Sorry, what is this supposed to be? Industries can change. Honda and Nissan agree to discuss merger, signaling massive industry shift. Deal would create number 3 auto group after Toyota and Volkswagen. I love to see 2 big companies getting together and exploring each other's bodies. That is a really tremendous thing to me. So they would aim for combined sales of 30 trillion yen or $121 billion and operating profit. Oh, they're going to aim. So they're setting their goals. They have shared goals. And they're going to try to get along and get to know each other. They aim to wrap up talks around June 2025. They have set, time-based goals. And then make a holding company. Wow, that's beautiful. I hope I get to go. I hope I'm invited to the ceremony. So great. Okay, so I wonder, this will be good, right? Prices go down for people, and workers' rights go up when companies merge, right? I'm under the impression that is how things work, right? You know, they have a lot of information here. Taiwan's Foxconn is seeking to expand its nascent electromagnetic vehicle, or what is it? Electric vehicle. Contract manufacturing business approached Nissan about a bid, but the Japanese company rejected it. Okay. Well, so good for them. Good for them changing the industry, changing their hearts and minds. And I love to see two big companies just having a good time. Another thing is I learned about this great part of the Constitution called the Confrontation Clause. If you know me and the podcast here, we're huge fans of confrontation. So I was glad that there was a clause of it in the Sixth Amendment to the United States Constitution. So if you're not in the United States, check your Constitution. Make sure you have a confrontation clause, because I am so happy that we do. And now, what does this mean? This is the right to, first of all, who cares? Because it's just awesome that we have something called the Confrontation Clause. But it also sounds cool. You have the right to be confronted with the witnesses against you in all criminal prosecutions, not civil, actually. But in criminal, you have the right to, if you are an accused, if you're the defendant, you have the right to be confronted with the people accusing you, the witnesses. Meaning you have the right to be there in court and that they have to present the evidence. And there are interesting, there have been like Supreme Court cases that, just determine exactly what this means. And I was reading about one, and like some of them have involved like, well, what if like the witness is a vulnerable person, like a child, and they're testifying about something horrible an adult did in court? And you would think, well, maybe they shouldn't have to do that. And that's sort of what the Supreme Court ruled, from my understanding. But then it gets really tricky, because then, okay, so the whole reason I was reading about this is because I learned about the sort of, if you know of the satanic panic in the United States and other countries. It's happened at a few different times, I think, and there are different panics that like rise in the population about, oh, what if people are getting into Satanism, and like, or what if there's like because like different types of abuse actually take place, and then maybe people will make up or like assume that. So basically, what happened is, people thought that daycare workers in the 1980s and 1990s in the U.S. were committing these heinous acts of satanic ritual abuse. And in most cases, the allegations turned out to be completely unsubstantiated. There were some cases that maybe were not unsubstantiated. And obviously, as I said, people do bad things sometimes. That's not in question. But what is also not in question is like there were like 20 plus cases. I read about it for like a couple hours the other night. There were like 20 cases between like 1982 and 1992 in the United States, all across. There was a famous one in like Los Angeles. This big like nice daycare had like one allegation spiral into hundreds and even thousands of counts of allegations that would then be whittled down to almost none. So anyways, it came up in the course of reading about this. It's the Sixth Amendment Confrontation Clause, because these people would be these like teachers and daycare workers, and often women, which by the way, women are found to commit at most around 5% of the child sexual abuse in the United States. I think in the United States that's the statistic. It might be for the world, but I think it's the U.S. So men commit 95% of the child sexual abuse, which is extremely a fascinating statistic that requires so much analyzation to really break down and understand the deep implications of what that means. So these women, often, sometimes men, these daycare workers and managers would be on trial, and then they would, oh yeah, here, I'll pull up a case. The McMartin was the name of the LA school. You know, and so it's just, and so people would be on trial, and then it would be like maybe they wouldn't be confronted with the kids who were making the accusations, which, and then they would just use these recordings of what the kids had said earlier when they were talking to social workers, and like these cases, the dozens of them that took place were failures of the media who just took what the police were saying at face value. And they were failures of the social workers who were involved and did these very unscientific, subjectively biasedly led interviews with the children, and it was very unprofessional. And so it's a massively fascinating part of American history. And this is just one of the cases that sort of set it all off. And everyone just demonized these workers and these people, and it was, and then it makes you think about the ways that people nowadays say they're standing up for children, sometimes by demonizing people, and yeah, I mean, you know, you have to believe children when they say something happened to them, but it's just the adults also need to be responsible about how they go about prosecuting justice, and like in a lot of these cases, you know, like so like in these dozens of cases, a huge amount of the people spent time in jail. I believe one of the guys in this case, this guy, I believe he spent 5 years in jail and before and was never convicted of anything. You know, other people were convicted, and then their convictions were overturned due to violations like things involving the confrontation clause. Oh, did I not have that pulled up the entire time? Sorry. I'm getting confused because they make me do all the Windows stuff here. Well, that's all. It wasn't like I was showing you that much. I was just, yeah, this guy. That was the guy I was talking about when I said that thing, and I think that's annoying that I didn't have that pulled up. Wow. The higher-ups are going to get pretty mad at me about that. I'm not going to lie. I can find a way to edit it in, I think, right? Because I'll just have it up now, and then I'll edit it in. Can you do that, Monica? Do you do that? I'm just going to say make sure, and you know, okay. Anyways, so that's that. Very, you know, it's just people weaponize children's perspectives and weaponize the empathy we all have for children against targets, and then we need a justice system that is reliant on responsible, professional expert opinion, and it's just unbelievable to learn about the history of social workers as a social worker and to learn about how it can be weaponized. And then, I mean, this stupid, this clause, which is good. I mean, when I read about some of these Supreme Court cases, it's like, I don't know. It's just like crazy to me to think how much time is spent like adjudicating these cases. I don't know. It's just like, this was like apparently the most expensive, the longest and most expensive series of criminal trials in American history. Wow, at the time it happened. So, yeah, I learned about this from something Emma Vigland mentioned on the Majority Report. She mentioned this satanic panic, and I was like, oh, I'm going to look that up. That's interesting, and it led to me reading about it for a while. Okay, flashback segment, flashback to the past. I wanted to do a flashback to the past, and this is what we have today. This is a flashback to about a year ago, which was about a situation from 2016 Steele dossier. It was compiled by someone who was formerly head of the Russia desk at Britain's intelligence services and on behalf of a company working for the Clinton campaign so they were trying to get negative information about Trump. A bunch of unverified allegations. Trump's denied it. Then after the election, there were a lot of allegations linked to Russia. This is a flashback desk. We're just trying to have a flashback here. Steele dossier published in full by BuzzFeed just days after his inauguration alleged they had compromising materials on him. Specifically, it cited a source who claimed Trump had hired the presidential suite of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Moscow, where he knew Barack and Michelle Obama had previously stayed, before defiling the bed where they had slept by employing a number of prostitutes to perform golden shower urination show in front of him. So that is pretty wild of a claim. You know what I mean? Like, that is wild. So I guess what we know for sure is that this was in a dossier, right? Like, that can't be made up, right? So this was in the... So what we don't know is, why would a former British intelligence officer write that and get paid to write that and give it to a company working for Hillary Clinton? I mean, it's obvious, but like, that doesn't... It's just like... There's no way to know whether it's true or false. Like, it's so outlandish, but it's just a claim. Like, I've never seen any evidence about it. You know, it's just a claim, and there's no way to weigh one side or the other, I would say. I mean, you could say, well, he's a germaphobe. It's unlikely, but I mean, there's no way to know. Last year, Trump again denied the report and said his wife hadn't believed it. Referencing the allegations, Trump said, he was with 4 hookers. You think that was good to go up and tell my wife? You think that was good to go up and tell my wife? It's not true, darling. I love you very much. It's not true. And then Trump went on, actually, that one she didn't believe. So that implies she believed other stuff, right? Which is interesting. Because she said he's a German... Right. No, I thought that would be a big problem. I was going to have a rough night, but that one she was very good on. So he really, really, really seems to be saying that Melania believed other allegations in the Steele dossier. Anyways, that guy's going to be president again, which is cool. And second part 2 of the flashback desk. This is, it says an hour ago, but that's not true. This is from, May 16, 2023. So this is from before the previous flashback. So then this guy did a report to look into the report. And he, so we need to show this to be unbiased. You know, he was like, what the heck was the deal with that report? You know what I mean? So let's see what he said. Well, they found a seriously flawed investigation. Oh, this is not about the Steele dossier. This is about the FBI probe into Trump's 2016 campaign, which was, you know, related to the Steele dossier in some way, right? Yeah. And it says investigators did not corroborate a single substantive allegation in a dossier by Steele. Okay. And yet continue to cite it in applications to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court to eavesdrop. So they're saying they were eavesdropping without on this guy without substantial reason. But this article, which is by AP News, says that this Durham investigation of the FBI did not find the crime of the century, as Trump predicted. Despite identifying abundant errors, the report in the broader investigation failed to live up to Trump's hype. The former president claimed it would reveal the crime of the century and expose the deep state. But report yielded only one conviction, a guilty plea from a little-known FBI employee, and the only 2 other cases that were brought both ended in acquittals at trial. Wow. And though Durham accused the FBI of confirmation bias, he did not allege that political bias or partisanship were guiding factors for the FBI's actions. Interesting. Durham said the Clinton campaign was treated differently. I don't know. I mean, I think it's good that these investigations take place. I like the more investigations, the better, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the FBI is, you know, deserves a lot more scrutiny. Okay. Next up, we're going to do a chess update. First, I got to close some windows. Window closing. Chess update. So, former world chess champion Magnus Carlsen, just GM. They don't even, no world champion. Left a tournament, pulled out of a major tournament because he was wearing jeans and they wanted him to take off his jeans and put on non-jeans. So these chess tournaments have fairly strict dress codes. And because they have sponsors and they want sponsors to, not get upset about jeans, former world chess champion, like he understands dress codes. I'm sure he knew he wasn't supposed to wear jeans, but he didn't care. And then they told him they were playing 3 rounds of rapid games a day. Rapid games are 15 minutes each, so the games take about an hour total with increment in between moves. It often adds up to about an hour, or 45 minutes or whatever. Anyways, they had played the first game of that day, round 7, and then before round 8, they told him to change out of his jeans. Presumably, they were at like the hotel where he could have gone up to his room. I don't know what they were expecting. And he was like, I'll do it. He said he would do it like maybe at the end of the day or something. I don't know. But yeah. After round 7, he got a $200 fine. And then when given an ultimatum to change before round 9 or not be paired for that round, he refused. The chief arbiter clarified that Carlsen was not kicked out of the tournament and could play in round 10. What? You can't just deny him a round. But the Rapid World Champion had already made his decision by then. Speaking to I Am Levy Roseman for this brand that he's promoting, Carlsen said he was ready to change for the next day, but not him. Yeah. My patience for them was not very big to begin with, and it's like, okay, they can enforce the rules. That's fine by me. And my response is that fine, then I'm out. Then, okay. Carlsen also told Norway's News, the way I feel it right now, I'm at full war with FIDE. So FIDE is the International Chess Organization. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, it's sort of a world chess champion tradition, a former world chess champion tradition, and even when he was, like, you have to sort of battle. FIDE, deserves to be massively overhauled. It needs to be. It's, it's like, imagine FIFA, It's just different letters. I have no desire to have anything to do with FIDE, so I apologize to those at home. It may be a stupid matter of principle to have, but I don't think it's very fun when it has to be like that. And then FIDE said, dress regulations are drafted by FIDE Athletes Commission, which is composed of... Okay, just who cares? It's so dumb. Jan Nepomniachtchi also got a $200 fine for wearing sports shoes. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's Jeansgate. Hikaru was also in jeans. No way. Oh my god. Oh wow, the FIDE CEO says, yeah, fully correct. The hotel was just 3 minutes away from the venue. You expect him to go back to the hotel? Give me a break. I mean, yeah, and Magnus just wanted to leave and didn't care, which I totally understand. I mean, he abdicated the throne of the World Championship. Like, he doesn't care about leaving a chess tournament. Yeah, and this is not updated. This is not updated, actually. Okay, but anyways, so that was that chess drama. But also on a chess note, I came across an otherwise very unimportant, totally forgettable episode of the podcast, episode 79, which don't even worry about it or check it out. It's not interesting, but I saw that I mentioned that I was talking about this chess player Hans Niemann, who has been involved in a lot of drama. And I mentioned that he had made all these boastful comments before losing to Magnus Carlsen and then to Hikaru Nakamura in these big matchups. And he had made all these boastful comments, and then I never showed any of them. So I just wanted to maybe show some of them. Because I like to close loops. So it's important to me that the podcast as a whole does not misrepresent something, even if it's 15 episodes later. I want to close that loop. So here are the comments that he made just before losing, to these two better players.
Hello, future grandmasters. This is Han.
And I mean no antipathy to Hans. This is a case study in don't talk shit. It's not good. It doesn't help you play better. You're getting in your own head if you're talking shit. You know what I mean? You're not getting in your opponent's head. You're getting in your own head.
Neiman, the journey to World Chess Champion continues. I have made huge strides, especially.
Same thing. You don't want to publish a video series about your journey to World Chess Champion like he did for months. Like, that just is getting in your own head. That's not good for you.
Especially in the Hans Niemann against the World Series.
And you don't want to start a series called Hans Niemann against the World. That's not a good way to see things. It just is getting in your own head. This is my point in all this. I mean nothing negative to Hans. It's just that these perspectives are not actually that helpful in the end.
First, I beat Anish Giri in Utrecht. Before that, I played in the Turkish League, winning the gold medal on board 1. I beat Anish Giri, then I beat Nikita Vitikov in London, then I beat Yetem Bikro in Paris.
So what he's saying right now is true. He had some amazing weeks. He had some amazing games. He's a great player, but you don't want to talk like this.
Raising my rating to 2733 FIDE, making me the number 16 classical player in the world. I gained about 90 blitz points, increasing my rating quite a bit. I think my classical performance rating in 3 matches was around 2800. So things are going really well. I've obviously not been uploading as much as I used to, but the priority is to play the best chess and let the chess speak for itself. Just wanted to give an update to all my fans and supporters. Obviously, I have a very, very big day on September 6th to 8th, the Speed Chess Championship. I've been waiting for a moment, for an opportunity to prove myself and on the biggest stage of the world. I've already defeated Wesley So and Maxime Vischer-Legrave. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to let the chess speak for itself. I'll be going off all social media until the match and until the entire tournament is over. So make sure to follow along. My team will be on my social media posting updates, and everyone, as Eminem says, you get one chance. I don't know the exact line, but you get one chance.
You get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
But of course, you can get many more chances if you're really good. So I'm going to be around in the chess world for a long time. I'm going to rise, to number 1 rated classical player in the world. I'm going to become world champion, and I'm going to stay world champion for a very long time. And not just classical, blitz, rap, but I'm going to be world champion in all of them. And you might laugh now, but you will all see very, very soon.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. For about a minute here, I was like, why am I showing this? This is so stupid. I'm wasting my time. I hadn't watched this before. I wasn't sure whether he was really that boastful. But it's like, dude, just don't talk like that. And these are some other posts he made around the same time. Ready to challenge any other team in basketball, asserting dominance in every realm. Yeah, definitely. And then he after he won some great match, he made some comments in an interview, and then the CEO of chess.com that was hosting, or the chief chess officer of chess.com, made some response where he responded and basically said, hey, chess.com stands by its report that found that you had cheated like 100 times. And we just, decided to let you back in anyways. And Hans says, Daniel, if that's what you tell yourself to sleep better at night, then go ahead. Just remember, truth will always prevail and everyone's day of judgment will come. So he was just posting this in the month before these matchups to Magnus and Hikaru. He just posted, what is my name? So that's a Breaking Bad reference I wanted to shout out. Then he posted, what will you do to me now? Pressure creates diamonds. Suffering makes champions. The right path is not for the faint-hearted. Only the villain and the hero know who's who. And then he lost by 5 points to Magnus Carlsen, which is huge, losing by 5 games. And then lost by 11 points to, or 12 points, sorry, to Hikaru Nakamura, which is unfathomable. And regarding Genesgate, so that the message being just like chill out, do things for your own mental health. Don't talk too much shit. It's not good for you. But yeah, regarding Genesgate, he said, if you think what happened today has anything to do with genes, you clearly aren't paying attention, which is so cool. So I just wanted to close that loop and make sure we covered that, and just get that sort of there. I wanted to make sure we covered that. So I hope you had a good midsection. That was the midsection, and that's sort of how it's gonna go. Essentially, it's obviously different than the desk section where I'm going through things that are desks, but it is similar in the sense that I'm going through a section of segments. In this case, them being different, a little bit different. So now we are going to the classic desks section. And this is where we're going to go over, obviously, there are two desks. And some people have felt like the desk section has been faltering ever since the two desk principle has been exerted. But other people, I think, disagree and say, no, the two desks are nice. They help me stay focused. I like that they're distinct. You have your politics desk and your art desk. We used to obviously have climate desk, marketing desk, business desk, finance desk, law desk. It was a little bit confusing, and people were getting a little bit confused, as they do when things are a little bit confusing. So, now we have the simple streamlined politics desk and art desk section. And that has opened up the space, I believe, for the midsection to come to creation as it has. But the desk section is not floundering, is not faltering at all. And I just hope I will say it has been struggling. I'm not going to say it's faltering, but I'll say it's struggling. Sure. And that is just simply because of the issue of not the imbalances. We've had a very significant imbalance. I believe last episode it was art desks that were very political. The previous episode before that, it was all politics desk and no art desks. So it's been kind of confusing. I've felt that the balance has been imbalanced. So I'm hoping maybe we get a back and forth, right? How about just one back and forth? Then we'll have kind of a bilateral stimulation thing conceptually. You know what I mean? So let's do... Okay, first up we have politics. Global hunger crisis deepens as major nations skimp on aid. If you haven't been following these talks related to global hunger. So it's a simple equation. This is a recent article from last week. The number of people going hungry or otherwise struggling around the world is rising, while the amount of money the world's wealthiest nations are contributing toward helping them is dropping. Again, this is Reuters. The result, the UN says that at best it will be able to raise enough money to help about 60% of the 307 million people it predicts will need humanitarian aid. That means 117 million people won't get food or other assistance in 2025. These are people who are not getting enough. They're not getting their needs met, and then rich nations are not able to pay. The UN will also end 2024 having raised only less than half of the about 50 billion it sought for aid in 2024. Wow. It's the second year in a row the world body has raised less than half what it sought. So humanitarian agencies are making agonizing decisions such as slashing rations for the hungry. Wow. This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. The consequences are being felt in places like Syria, where the World Food Program, UN's main food distributor, used to feed 6 million people. Eyeing its projections for aid donations, now it's hoping to only help 1 million people. Wow. Jesus Louises. And wow, we're taking from the hungry to feed the starving. Wow. Financial pressures and shifting domestic politics are reshaping some wealthy nations' decisions about where and how much to give. Germany, one of UN largest donors, already shaved $500 million in funding from one year to the next. They're literally, and that's, you hear about the far right rising in Germany. What do you think? You know what I mean? Who else wants to do this, Also, we're not sure what this guy's going to do. but we'll see. But anyways, that's, this is, we want this to be different. I think major countries can afford it. The majority of humanitarian funding comes from just 3 wealthy donors, the US, Germany, and the European Commission, providing 58% of the $170 billion recorded by the UN in response to crises from 2020 to 2024. China, Russia, and India contribute less than 1%. What the heck? Why? The inability to close the funding gap is one of the major reasons the global system for tackling hunger and preventing famine is under enormous strain. The lack of adequate funding, coupled with the logistical hurdles of assessing need and delivering food aid in conflict zones, where many of the worst hunger crises exist, is taxing efforts to get enough. Well, maybe we should stop having conflict zones then. Sounds like it's a deeper issue. Almost 282 million people in 59 countries and territories were facing high levels of acute food insecurity in 2023. Reuters is documenting the global hunger relief crisis in a series of reports, including Sudan, Myanmar, and Afghanistan. Wow. Failure of major nations to pull their weight in funding for global initiatives. Well, yeah, that's true. That has been that's a good point. Maybe. Oh, well, that's not the implication. I'm taking this positive implication of like, well, then you can rectify it, but I don't think that's. Usually they're like, well, then we should not do anything. Chose the Project 2025 key architect Russell Vought to run the U.S. Office of Management and Budget, a powerful body that helps decide presidential priorities and how to pay for them. For Secretary of State, he chose Marco Rubio, who has a record of supporting foreign aid. Okay, well, we'll see. Billionaire Elon Musk has been tapped by Trump to co-lead the Department of Government Efficiency, new body to examine waste in government spending. The oligarch said this month on his social media platform Twitter that Doge would look at foreign aid. Cool. Right, well. Two of the biggest economies, China and India, gave a tiny fraction as much. China ranked 32nd among governments in 2023, contributing 11.5 million. India ranked 35th. China and India each invested in far more in the type of initiatives that draw world attention, like the Olympics. Spokesman for the Chinese embassy said that China has always supported the WFP. It feeds 1.4 billion people within its own borders. I mean, that's fair. It's a pretty fair argument. Okay, so let's move on because I can't read the whole article. You know what I mean? People can just go check it out for themselves if they want to read the article. Next we have the art desk. Great. Thank you. Georgia O'Keeffe was sent to Hawaii to paint pineapples. She painted everything but. That's an amazing photograph. Wow. Amazing painting. Oh my gosh. She lived so long. She lived to like 98. She's not 98 here, but she lived to be really old. Dole, then known as the Hawaiian Pineapple Company, offered to take the American artist Georgia O'Keeffe in 1938. Okay, so she had already been famous now for like 20, 25 years. On a paid, and she'd already been living. Oh no, she wasn't. She was not necessarily. Was she living in out west by this point, 1938? No, I don't think so. Maybe she had visited a couple times. On a paid trip to the Pacific Island to paint their flagship fruit for an upcoming marketing campaign. Although O'Keeffe wasn't a fan of commissions, especially commissions from large corporations, the deal arrived at an opportune time. Oh yeah, she had definitely been out west by this time, my bad. The 51-year-old artist was eager to get away from her husband, photographer and gallery owner Alfred Stieglitz. Yeah, Stieglitz. I just read a book about them. Whose affair with activist Dorothy Norman had contributed to her suffering several nervous breakdowns. Yeah, Stieglitz was a kind of a self-aggrandizing, poor decision maker when it came to some things. At the same time, she hoped that the Hawaiian landscape, different than she'd been in New Mexico for a while, would silence her critics who had begun to label her an increasingly monotonous work, a kind of mass production. While O'Keefe was blown away by the natural beauty, okay, I don't really care about that, but that's beautiful. Wow. Yeah, she was very individualistic. She did whatever she wanted. It was awesome. Dole's rigid travel plans made the artist even more disinterested in I read a whole book about her. I didn't read this part. I didn't realize she went to Hawaii. The company's executives, for one, rejected O'Keefe's request to sleep close to the pineapple plantations, arguing it would be improper for a woman to live among the laborers. Wow, Dole. For another, instead of allowing her to paint pineapples outside in the field, they expected the artist to paint her subject in a studio removed from nature. To make matters worse still, the pineapples they provided her with were peeled, cut up, and, as O'Keefe put it, manhandled. Wow. Oh my god. Instead, she just spent 2 months traveling and doing whatever she wanted. Here's a typo in the article. She joked about her procrastination writing. By the time I leave the islands, I'm going to know so much more about sugar than I do about pineapples that it's funny. Dole wasn't happy with it. And, but she did something that the marketing team, Tom, what? I know you're a department, but I just figured it's close enough. Okay, let's go to the next desk. And we do have a politics desk. Great. So we're alternating. This is exactly what I was looking for. There's some sort of alternation back and forth. Starbucks strike to expand to over 300 stores on Christmas Eve, union says. So I tried to get an accurate, up-to-date amount because this is 5 days ago. I couldn't find it quickly. But 5 days ago, the news was that over 5,000 workers in over 300 stores were. Wait, didn't I see? What was the whole 10,000 thing about though last week? Anyways, oh, here we go. Starbucks has over 10,000 company-operated stores. Oh, wait, that's a different statistic. I honestly don't know, and I'm just gonna drop it. A strike at Starbucks will expand to over 300 stores on Tuesday. Okay, I kind of want to know the current. No, okay, I'll just. I mean, I tried to find current strike Starbucks news. I mean, I was just looking it up. It continues to grow to hundreds of stores. Hold on. Here's 1 day ago. Okay, let's see.
Go to hundreds of stores nationwide, around 5,000 employees at more than 300 stores across.
Okay, they're reading the same article I am. So yeah, anyways, Starbucks said that most of their stores are not striking. And Seattle headquartered firm said they previously claimed that the union delegates prematurely ended the bargain. Yeah, they did claim that. Earlier this month, the workers group rejected an offer of no immediate wage raises. Why would they reject that? And a guarantee of a 1.5% pay increase in future years. That is like the worst offer ever. Are you kidding me? The union is not going to accept no wage increase. What do they offer? They don't even say? Anyways. Yeah. Unbelievable. Okay, so yeah, the union, let those strikes grow because striking is healthy. And part 2 of this desk, similar, Starbucks loses appeal over baristas firing in National Labor Relations Board case. This is not directly related to the striking, but the NLRB found, or a federal appeals court rejected Starbucks' appeal of the NLRB finding that the coffee chain illegally fired 2 Philadelphia baristas because they wanted to organize a union. Third Circuit Court of Appeals said Starbucks lacked standing to challenge the constitutionality of the ruling, and the judges, in possible setback for companies such as Amazon, Trader Joe's, and Elon Musk's SpaceX that have sought to limit the agency's enforcement powers. Yeah, we'll see how that goes under a Republican administration. All right, so the court found substantial evidence that Starbucks knew before the firings that the baristas had recorded meetings with supervisors without their consent, and rejected Starbucks' claim that it need not rehire the baristas with back pay because it discovered the improper recordings only later. But the Philadelphia-based court said the NLRB exceeded its authority by ordering Starbucks to pay the baristas foreseeable expenses stemming from their firings. Okay, fair enough. Including costs of finding new jobs. Yeah, they're not being that nice to these workers. Many Starbucks workers have accused the company of unfair labor practices and a campaign by workers to unionize. Amid. Case was the first time a federal appeals court considered broader challenges to NLRB enforcement powers, including whether its administrative law judges were unconstitutionally shielded from presidential removal. Oh, wow. Ambrose said Starbucks lacked standing to challenge the removal protections because it could not demonstrate harm. Wow. Very interesting. Close some windows, but yeah, that's great. Next up we have... This is another politics desk. Okay, I thought we were going to continue the... back and forth. Okay, no, that's fine. No, I'm fine. Bald eagle officially becomes national bird of the U.S. Okay, I've always thought that the bald eagle should be a national bird. That's just been my intuition for no reason at all. I've just always intuitively felt, and I've never talked about it with anyone, but I've always felt like, I feel like the bald eagle should be the national bird. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that I manifested that. Next up, we have another politics desk. Yeah, if this type of thing is in the news about you, what I would recommend is not tweeting something like this. He's trying to weigh in on public discourse, but he does it including the phrase, public education in America is a system now built more for the adults than the students. Dude, you have... when you have an allegation out there that you paid for sex with a minor, and that is an allegation that is causing you a lot of negative public attention, maybe try to not say, among other allegations, maybe try to not say that public education is built for adults. That's sort of weird. It creates a weird image. It reminds people of that thing about you, that you're, allegedly about you. Next up, we do have another politics desk, and I'm just going to go with it because at the end of the day, politics is probably more important than art. So maybe it makes sense that we've just had politics desk, because what Israel is doing is unbelievable, and they are massacring civilians all across the globe right now. All across their slice of the globe, and what they claim and want to be their slice of the globe. It's actually so crazy. Like, it's actually so crazy. They just emptied out a hospital in Gaza. Like, I mean, this is not even the article about the hospital. This is, look at it. They've killed so many fucking people. This is unfathomable. They killed 5 journalists when their vehicle was struck. 5 journalists working for a television channel. The vehicle was marked as a media van and used by journalists to report inside the hospital. The Israeli army said its Air Force attacked the vehicle in a targeted manner because members of the jihad militant group were inside. They get this exact thing from the US. It's horrible. I was reading an article about Israel's actions in Lebanon and Syria. I actually didn't realize it was Syria as well. Where so human rights advocates are calling for an independent investigation. This is a few months ago into the deadly explosions of pagers and walkie-talkies in Lebanon and Syria, suggesting the blast may have violated international law if the devices were fashioned as booby traps. So there's international law about that, and people understand Israel to have killed people and wounded more than 3,000 people with explosions rigged in booby-trapped walkie-talkies and pagers. Indiscriminate. They had no idea who would be holding the devices. I mean, we don't know yet if it violated international law. It's just something to be aware of. You know, there's a lot of legal stuff here you can't know. And the pagers were used by members of Hezbollah. But there was no guarantee that they would be using them when the devices went off. Most of the casualties were among members of Hezbollah's extensive civilian operations. It's like, it's unfathomable. You can't kill people for being in a terrorist group. I seriously don't think you can kill people for being in a terrorist group. You can only... You can't kill people. You arguably can't kill people. But if you can, it's for doing something. It's for literally self-defense. That's the only justification for killing someone. You can't kill someone for punishment. And you certainly can't kill someone for punishment of their ideas and not even their actions. And actions like organizing with a terrorist group should not be punished by the death penalty. Period. I don't even care. I'm not going to litigate what it means to be a terrorist group and the history of Lebanon as if I'm some expert. But it's just like you need to understand how wrong it is for a government to kill people for being a part of a group and how they get their impetus to do this from the U.S. And now Israel is striking Yemen again for like the fourth time in the last couple of years or something. And they even attacked the airport while the World Health Organization Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the World Health Organization Director General was at the airport when Israel attacked the airport. And a crew member on his plane was injured. Israel is just attacking Yemen, killed 3 people. They attacked the airport because they're going after the Houthis. Oh, they want to go after Hezbollah. They want to go after the Houthis. They want to go after Hamas. Wow, there's a lot of embedded terrorists around Israel. Oh my gosh, I wonder what would cause a violent political ideology to grow in response to a state in so many different populations to such an extent that separating militants from civilians is impossible and therefore, in my opinion, would never justify airstrikes. Well, maybe it's the huge amount of people that can perceive the obvious injustice of the actions of the state of Israel. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's just the global powers over the last century did not respect the self-determination of Palestinians and gave Israel settlers and immigrants the right to dictate policy in the region, which is unfathomable. You need to respect the self-determination of the indigenous group, and it's, unbelievable. So now this is the situation we have, and we need international law, and that's the only way you can take care of this stuff, because, oh my gosh, it's just unfathomable. For Israel to now feel entitled to, go around, oh, the Houthis are attacking Israel too. I understand that. Yeah, they are attacking Israel. But there are a lot of people who think that the Houthis would stop immediately if Israel stopped killing Palestinians and started respecting people's human rights. I don't know if I read that in this article or a different one. But it was a different one. But yeah, I think Israel actually doesn't have the right to fire missiles into other countries. Or kind of maybe anywhere, but at the very least, let's start with not into other countries. Politics desk. Big oil backtracks on renewables push as climate agenda falters. So this is not good news. Major European energy companies doubled down on oil and gas in 2024 to focus on near-term profits, slowing down and at times reversing climate commitments in a shift they are likely to stick with in 2025. That's not good. Big European energy companies that had invested heavily in the clean energy transition found their share performance lagging U.S. rivals Exxon and Chevron. So BP and Shell slowed their plans to spend millions on wind and solar and shifted spending to higher margin oil and gas. Yep. In a capitalist economy, it's not a moral failing. It's the system incentivizes people to maximize profits, arguably legally incentivizes them, but certainly in every way economically incentivizes people to go for higher margin and shorter term profits. So yeah, that's not good. You know, you don't like to see that. Weakened CEO incentives to prioritize the low carbon transition amid high oil prices and evolving investor expectations. Which CEOs? Oh, he said BP, Shell, and Equinor reduced low carbon spending by 8% in 2024. Reduced their low carbon spending. They reduced it. Looking at the hottest year on record, they reduced it. Equinor said, Shell told Reuters it remained committed to becoming a net zero emissions energy business by 2050. Dude, 2050? How about now? Make a commitment now. For now. For next year. Equinor said the offshore wind segment has been through demanding times in the last couple of years due to inflation, cost increase, bottlenecks in the supply chain, and Equinor will continue to be selective and disciplined in our approach. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be selective and very disciplined. You'll be very abstinent in what you choose to spend your money on. It's amazing. BP did not respond to a request for comment. Okay. Global heat trapping carbon emissions are forecast to climb to a new high in 2024, which will be the warmest year on record, and 2025 is shaping up to be another tumultuous year for the $3 trillion energy sector, with climate skeptic Donald Trump returning to the White House. China, the world's biggest crude oil importer, is trying to revive its faltering economy, potentially boosting oil demand. Europe faces continued uncertainty over the war in Ukraine and political turmoil in Germany and France. At the UN climate conference in Baku in November, the host country president hailed oil and gas as a gift from God. It's not what you want at the UN climate conference. Disappointed climate advocates. We talked about that deal. Yeah, it was like less than a third of what they asked. I'm sorry, this is a different deal. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Analysts expect oil companies to face tighter financial constraints next year. Net debt for the top 5 Western oil giants is expected to rise to $148 billion in 2024 from $92 billion based on in 2022. I don't really care. You know what I mean? That's not the most important thing to me personally. Okay, well, that was the desk section. So you can see the difference between the different sections. That was the desk section, and I think it went well. We're going to have to rethink this whole politics and art thing. I don't know what's going on with the desk sections. I think this desk is on life support. I don't really know. I don't really know how I'm supposed to do this, frankly, this whole desks thing. It's kind of confusing, the whole art and politics, and then it's all politics. Like, we need to figure out something else here. So that was the episode. I don't really have much else to say. I think this was a lot of stuff, you know. I think this was a lot of stuff. Maybe I'll thank the YouTube members and the Patreons. So first I'll thank the YouTube members. Thank you, Jaden, Simply Snaps, 39% Weird, Pit Inhabitant, Hollow Moon, Trusty Ghost, Jifa, Eva, Jasmine, Matthew, Ibnomad1, and Maddie. And on the good old-fashioned Patreon, thank you, user MJ, Miles, Brent, Kyle, Madeline, Rabid Dog, Irene, Verbal Gerbil, Ryan, Mr. Moxie, Linguist Sam, Anastasios, Thulusaurus Rex, Stephanie, Gunther, Luca, Scott, Jack, Ashley, Redgrove, John, Ian, Hugh, Gaff45er, Swit, Jen, Platinum, Sarge, Russ, Donovan, Elemancy, King Margot, Tom, Caleb, Noah, Scott, Matt, MK, Oliver, Ibnomad1, Miranda, Ruben, X, Emily, Icelac, MT, Helena, JC, Kristen, and Lily. Thanks so much for supporting this work that I do. I really appreciate it, and it's very nice. And you can stop at any time, but I do appreciate it. Let's read the mailbag. We like to get some mail from the mailbag, and let's just say we have the mailbag is blowing in the wind today, and blow it shall, because we don't have any letters. But this was a great episode. Thank you so much. I've been told to like touch the camera at the end. They said that'll make people feel more intimately connected to the podcast. So that was that. Thanks, and have a good one. I'll see you sometime. This is a very long episode. Next week will be a public episode, and I have a fun announcement then too. But I will save it for then. And thanks. Have a good one. Bye.
This is a podcast or something like